Kengan Omega is not as great as Kengan Ashura, but that does not mean that it can't be enjoyed. It's been a long time since the community's opinion was anything but sour, and at times it feels like I am enjoying the story more than anyone else. But I don't blame you. The story, the characters, and the art has gotten worse. The story fails to resonate. The characters feel like caricatures of themselves. And while I'm no artist, I have eyes and I can tell that it has seen better days. And I have not been able to hold myself back from being critical because not only is it easy to do so, but there are many reasons to be cynical. Not a day goes by where I don't hear someone complain about Kengan Omega. The story should have been about Koga and Ryuki, the Kengan and the Omega respectively. But Oma came back from the grave, and suddenly they were left behind in the Ashura's shadow even more than they already were. And the final round of a tournament, which would determine the fate of the Kengan Association, should have been as climactic an ending as the last one. But it's like comparing apples to oranges, except the apple is made of solid gold and 3 people died making it, and the orange is just a lemon that spent too much time on a beach. And as Tokita Nico's greatest student, Faye should have been Oma's nemesis, the final obstacle between him and his vengeance. But Faye died as the biggest what if, never to see what he's truly capable of. Yet, Kengan Omega should be seen for what it is, not what it should be. Even though the story should be about Koga and Ryuki, Oma is back. In Ashura, Oma's path was ending before it could finish, and while his death did signal a journey complete, Oma was only just getting started. But in Omega, Oma has been gifted a second chance to continue his path, to build upon his master's legacy, and to pursue his dream of becoming the strongest. Even though the final round of the Kengan vs Purgatory tournament was not cut from the same cloth as its predecessor, it is what Kengan is all about. 2 weird people with incredible abilities fighting over the same impossible dream. Nothing more, nothing less. But while we are quick to judge this fight for its outcome, we should know that a fight is not a sprint, but a marathon. And while someone had to lose, it was a close fight where they cancelled each other out, took risks to get the upper hand, and it still went the distance. Even though Faye should have been Oma's nemesis, he is a victim. On his path to becoming the strongest, Faye was caught up in circumstances outside of his control, and for all his power, he never had the power to control his own life. Faye was used as a human guinea pig, and his life was wasted to bring an end to an organization that had already achieved its goal. But unlike Oma, Faye's path ended before it could finish because he never got a second chance. The game was rigged from the start, and Faye's dream turned into a nightmare. Kengan Omega is telling stories that are not as focused nor as powerful as Kengan Ashura. Even though it tells the stories of different characters through its fights, Kengan Ashura was focused on Oma. His trials, his tribulations, his desires, and his dreams. And Oma's story is just powerful. When I get to the part where he lets go of his vengeance and chooses to fight for himself, when I get to the part where his first interaction with Katsuo is called back and he realizes how far he has come, when I get to the part where he dies peacefully without any regrets, I can't help but feel goosebumps. But Kengan Omega is still telling stories that are worth reading, and the only way to find them is to read what's being written, not what we want to read. Reading Kengan is easy, but it's easier said than done because we get a lot of stuff wrong, and I am no exception. But like a blind person using echolocation to find their father who coincidentally disappeared after the milk finished, some of y'all are just lost, and I get it. I don't know what choreography means. This tree you speak of, is he strong? Katsuya? Samato? Now I know you're spawning characters out of thin air. Manji Group? That a K-pop boy band? Fist of the Seeker? Nuh-uh. Not in my vocabulary. But y'all are asking questions that have already been answered. What's the Tiger's Vessel? What's an Omega? Omega lol? What does the worm want? What's a connector? My brother in Christ, why don't you connect the damn dots? The connector is a man trying to play God, and the worm is a cult that worships him. Like how Christianity uses missionary, church, and community services to convert new followers and keep the faith alive, the worm has developed cloning and mind-uploading technology to keep their god alive without the need for more primitive and tedious methods. And having produced the Omega, a clone that can serve as his final vessel because it has replaceable parts, the worm can cease to exist because their fate has been made a reality. So, the destruction of the worm serves to demonstrate his godhood, because despite creating life in his image and punishing the wicked who interfere with his plan, Sen is indifferent to the suffering of his subjects. Our questions have answers, and if you dig deep enough, you can find it. But some questions have yet to be answered. The Tiger's Vessel is the inheritor of Tokita Nico's techniques and knowledge. But Faye was deceived, and when he figured out the truth, he couldn't share it because he knew something that we didn't. And I suspect that it has something to do with Sen Lohan, because Oma is not a clone of Sen Wulong. But what's the point in reading a story where all of our questions are answered? Enjoying Kengan should not take effort because the story has yet to finish, and we don't know what will happen in the future. And why give up on a story before it's even finished? So, read Kengan Omega, because it is what it is, and that's all that it is.